You fake preacher.
Amen.
You hypocrite. You heathen. You liar.
It's a liar.
You deceiver.
Yes.
You pulpit sinner.
Amen.
I want to say, that's your family. Who is my mother?
Who is my mother?
Hey, how y'all doing out there? I got some old crazy news for y'all. Geno Jennings been known to be a prophet, and he been prophesizing the downfall of T.D. Jakes for years. After this mega church got raided, plenty of pastors paranoid about how they run their organization, especially if they got money and flashy things. Y'all know people don't like to see brothers having things like this. People saying this man committed a crime, while other people say he simply had some organization going on around there. These pastors be quick to call each other false prophets, but the congregation they be preaching to be thinking to themselves, you the false prophet. Now people are alleging that T.D. Jakes stepped down from his church just to cover his own tracks, while taking shots at other pastors to make himself look squeaky clean.
People who claim to be prophets and can see everybody's business but their own are false prophets. I'm gonna give you 3 minutes to clap off of that, because most of the people who are modern day prophets are fakes and phonies and frauds, and they're just trying to get in your business so they can get in your wallet, so they can walk away with your stuff. Because a real prophet speaks to nations and kings and powers and authorities and dominions, and the first person God will show you is yourself.
I don't know what y'all talking about, but I love T.D. Jakes and I don't believe he a hypocrite. But when it comes down to forced labor, the truth of the matter is, if people don't want to be somewhere, they ain't gonna be there. They saying that this pastor was inducing forced labor on people. You can't force people to do nothing that they really don't want to do. When they seen all them cars he had, all them nice houses and things, they was just trying to get down with his team, and he took advantage of them. It don't matter who it is. If you got money, people gonna come running. People of power been using and abusing people for years. They done took down the R&B singers. They done took down the famous rappers. Now they going after the famous pastors. Before you know it, all the mega church pastors about to be sitting behind bars.
Well, investigators saying that this forced labor operation resulted in at least $50 million in donations since 2014. And all of that money helped pay for David Taylor and Michelle Brannan's extravagant lifestyle.
Brannan went before a federal judge in Tampa today following her arrest earlier. 8 on Your Side investigator Brittany Mueller continues our team coverage live tonight.
Stacey and Keith, good evening. David Taylor and Michelle Brannan are accused of using religious beliefs to prey on their victims for their own personal financial gain. Court records show they used the funds to purchase several Mercedes and Bentleys, a Rolls-Royce, a boat, 5 ATVs and jet skis, as well as $10,000 worth of seafood, plus this home in Avila worth more than $9 million.
You're looking at 2 FBI raids in 2 states, North Carolina and Florida, that investigators say led to the arrest of 2 self-professed religious leaders and their connection to the Kingdom of God Global Church. Federal investigators say David Taylor, who refers to himself as Apostle and Jesus' best friend, and his second in command, Michelle Brannan, lured people in nationwide with promises to fulfill their spiritual hunger and work as unpaid phone solicitors at call centers to serve as Taylor's arm bearers in Michigan, Missouri, Texas, and even here in Florida, including Tampa and Ocala. On Wednesday, Taylor was arrested in Durham, North Carolina, while Brannan in Tampa. This indictment filed in July shows since 2013, their victims were required to make a specific number of calls or raise a specific dollar amount, and if they did not meet their quota, there were consequences, physical violence, and psychological abuse. In one case, court records show Brannan texted 7 of the top closers, "Need to go in the garage in Tampa now. Also, I want food taken away." The indictment reveals that this forced labor scheme resulted in at least $50 million in donations since 2014, which Taylor and Brannan said would be spent on supporting victims of human trafficking, all while they are now accused of committing that crime.
Michelle Brannon did not have an attorney present, so the hearing has been rescheduled for Thursday at 2:30 to allow her time to retain counsel. Brannon and Taylor will eventually be extradited to Michigan, where the case was initially filed. I'm Brittany Muller, 8 on your side.
Now the question is, how did T.D. Jakes manage to be one of the biggest pastors, if not the biggest pastor in the United States? Did he have people working for him? I'm pretty sure he wasn't doing it all by himself. Was everybody getting paid like how they supposed to? I don't see no testimonies. If they can go back 30 years ago and get Bill Cosby caught up, it's looking like T.D. Jakes got a dark road ahead, and I can see why he stepped down from the church. Because however brothers winning out here, if it's rapping, preaching, whatever it is, they getting shut down. I ain't saying what this man did was right. He was dead wrong. But a lot of y'all's employers out there dead wrong. Got y'all working overnight, putting your life at risk, working at the Waffle House, knowing you ain't getting paid like that. Y'all need to listen to these details.
A pair of church leaders accused in a nationwide human trafficking case will remain in jail after appearing in federal court today. One of the hearings was in Tampa, where Michelle Brannon declined to have a bond hearing, instead choosing to have the hearing in Michigan, where the case is actually based. In a court filing, prosecutors say that they want Brannon held until her trial. They wrote that she is a danger to others and worry that she may try to run. They also indicated that her home address was listed as a mansion in the affluent Avila neighborhood in North Tampa. That property was one of 4 across the country raided by federal agents yesterday. Authorities say the properties belong to David Taylor and his Kingdom of God Global Church. Court documents indicate the church was operating 9 call centers. One of them was actually at that Avila mansion. Investigators say unpaid workers were forced to solicit donations or face punishments, including physical and psychological abuse and food and sleep deprivation. The indictment alleges that Taylor made the rules and Brannon, the church's executive director, enforced them. The arrest came as a relief to a woman who says she was in a relationship with Taylor back in 2018, and she says she ended it and wrote a book in 2020 trying to expose his abuse. This is just part of a video that she recorded yesterday.
There were so many people that were taken advantage of, and I was one of them. I experienced firsthand the abuse, the lies, and the corruption of both of the individuals who were arrested today. What a shame they are to authentic churches and ministries who have the character and the humility of Christ.
According to the federal indictment, Taylor referred to himself as an apostle, claiming that he communicated with Jesus and that he could heal people through faith. But investigators say it was all a con. They say the church raised $50 million in donations over the last 12 years. And investigators tell us the money funded extravagant lifestyles for Taylor and Brannon, who were the only ones receiving a salary. Of course, there are still many questions about how this church was able to operate for as long as it did.
Some have been watching and raising red flags for years. Let's bring in Fox 13's Genevieve Curtis, who spent the day digging into the church's past. Hi there, Genevieve, in our newsroom tonight. What'd you find out here?
Yeah, Mark, there is a lot to go through, and those who keep an eye on ministries say that there were red flags with David Taylor and his church for years, but truly nothing of this magnitude.
They have, frankly, from the very beginning, shown evidence of being a bad actor, a bad operator.
Warren Smith makes it his mission to keep faith leaders accountable. He's the president of Ministry Watch. The news outlet tracks finances and actions of Christian ministries. They followed the actions of David Taylor and the Kingdom of God Global Church over the years. But Smith says the allegations contained in the federal indictment of forced labor and human trafficking were shocking.
A level of evil, a level of wrongdoing that even among some of the worst actors that we've been covering over the years here at Ministry Watch, and we've been around for 26 years, I don't believe I've ever seen anything quite like this.
The indictment alleges since 2014, the church amassed $50 million in donations, leading to questions about how it went on for so long.
We are living in an oversight and accountability and regulatory regimen for nonprofits that was devised in the 1950s and 60s. It is completely inadequate for the number of nonprofits that we have in this country today. So I think one of the ways that David Taylor was able to get away with it was that they were just not being scrutinized by the government at all.
Authorities accuse Taylor and his right hand, Michelle Brannon, of forcing workers to meet unrealistic quotas at the church's call centers, and they were punished when they didn't. A model used in third world countries, but maybe the first known case in the U.S.
And I think by understanding the mechanics of David Taylor's operation, we might be able to gain some insights into how to investigate or what to look for in some of these other situations that I'm aware of.
And there are still questions about how many people were forced to work in these conditions. Transcripts from a federal civil trial could give us some insight. Taylor and his church were sued by a Florida movie set company over failing to pay. Last year, one of the church's pastors testified that they rely on 75 to 80 full-time volunteers to run the day-to-day operations. He also testified the church has thousands of volunteers in almost 200 nations around the world.
So there are a lot of victims here, a lot of problems, a lot of damage done, but at least it's coming to light and maybe we can learn a few lessons from it.
And in talking about those call centers, the church promotes its prayer line, which we call today, and people are still answering the phones for the church. So I reached out to the FBI field office to see if there are other locations that were not raided, if there are more victims that are still working for the church, answering those phone lines. We'll let you know what we find out. Mark.
Whenever I see Fox News on it, I don't know what to believe. But one thing for sure, they can sway the narrative however they want to sway the narrative because the people willing to look at the dark side instead of the good side. After all the good T.D. Jakes did, people still had the nerve to turn around and call him the power bottom. So that's how I know that the media got the power to sway people to believe whatever they want people to believe. But one thing for sure, I do believe my brother Geno Jennings when he get up there preaching. He says some things about T.D. Jakes I don't want to believe, and I want to share with y'all some of these details so y'all can decide for y'allself.
Won't believe what's happening at the Potter's house right now. T.D. Jakes, one of the most influential pastors of our time, has stepped down as senior pastor, and the fallout has been nothing short of shocking. But that's not all. There's been a bombshell reaction from Leandria Johnson that you have to hear. Stay tuned because this story is about to take an unexpected turn, and it's not what you think. Welcome back to the channel, everyone. If you're new here, make sure to hit that subscribe button because today we're diving into a story that's making waves across the Christian community and beyond. T.D. Jakes, the founding pastor of the Potter's House, has announced his decision to step down as the senior pastor after decades of leadership. But the plot thickens, as this move isn't just about a transition in leadership, it's about what's happening behind the scenes. In today's video, we'll be exploring the reasons behind T.D. Jakes' surprising decision, the two individuals stepping up to take over, and the reactions from those closest to him, including gospel artist Leandria Johnson, who has been making some explosive comments of her own. You'll want to stick around because there are some jaw-dropping details you won't find anywhere else. By the end of this video, you'll have all the facts. And trust me, you won't look at the Jakes family or the Potter's house the same way again. It's the kind of news that stops you in your tracks. On a seemingly ordinary Sunday, T.D. Jakes, the pastor who built the Potter's house into one of the largest and most influential churches in the world, announced that he was stepping down as the senior pastor. For years, Jakes has been at the helm of a ministry that touches millions of lives globally. His dynamic preaching, coupled with his powerful messages on faith and perseverance, have earned him a loyal following, both within and outside the church walls. But why is he stepping down now? What could possibly make this giant of faith, who has built an empire around his ministry, make such a drastic decision? While the official statement cited a desire to focus on other endeavors and the future of his ministry, many are left questioning if there's more to this announcement than meets the eye. After all, T.D. Jakes is not just any pastor. He's an icon in the church world. His decision to pass on the baton of leadership is historic, and it's causing a ripple effect throughout the Christian community. Some speculate that this move could be about securing a smoother transition and ensuring that the legacy of the Potter's house continues without disruption. Others are questioning if there are deeper personal reasons that have yet to be revealed. Was there internal conflict? Or is this simply the next step in a larger divine plan for the Jakes family? But the real twist comes when we look at who will be stepping into his shoes. That's where the story takes a turn. When T.D. Jakes made his historic announcement, the church world was buzzing. But what followed was something no one could have predicted. Leandria Johnson, the gospel artist known for her raw talent and candid nature, had something to say. And trust me, it's not what you're expecting. Now, we all know Leandria Johnson as a powerhouse in gospel music, with a career that's seen both soaring highs and some major personal struggles. She's been open about her journey, from her rise to fame to her challenges with addiction, divorce, and her ongoing battle with mental health. Her transparency has made her a relatable figure to many, and she's never been shy about speaking her mind, especially when it comes to the church world. So when news broke about T.D. Jakes stepping down, Leandria's reaction took many by surprise. In a series of social media posts and interviews, she didn't mince words. While others expressed shock and sadness, Leandria seemed almost relieved. She suggested that this moment was long overdue and that it could be a turning point for the church, especially for younger generations who may not feel represented by traditional leadership styles. Her comments struck a chord with many, while others couldn't help but wonder, is there more behind Leandria's reaction than just an opinion on church leadership? Some fans believe she's calling out a deeper issue within the church, one where certain leaders have been too powerful, too untouchable, and too controlling for too long. And Leandria's reaction seems to reflect a desire for change, for something fresh. She's been vocal about feeling marginalized in the industry, and some are speculating that her words about Jakes stepping down might be a reflection of her own frustrations with the system that elevates big names but fails to nurture those in the shadows. But that's not all. There's another part of her reaction that you need to hear because it's about to get a lot more intense. Leandria Johnson's reaction to T.D. Jakes stepping down didn't stop at simply voicing her relief. No, she went further, diving deep into what many consider an uncomfortable but necessary conversation about the state of the church and its leadership. In an interview that left many churchgoers and gospel fans talking, Leandria made a bold claim that has left people questioning everything they thought they knew about the church's power structures. She openly questioned the role of megachurch leaders in the modern-day gospel scene, highlighting how the spotlight on high-profile pastors like T.D. Jakes can overshadow the real work that needs to be done within the communities they serve. According to Leandria, too many pastors and church leaders have become more concerned with building empires and maintaining their wealth than with actually serving their congregations. Leandria didn't stop there. She took aim at the way church leaders handle controversy and scandal, something that's all too common in today's climate. She pointed out how many leaders, despite their flaws, continue to be revered and supported, even when their actions might not align with the core values they preach. Leandria even insinuated that there might have been a degree of church politics at play in Jakes' decision to step down. Could this move be a calculated strategy to pass the torch and move on before more damaging secrets come to light? Some viewers were shocked by her openness, but those who know Leandria well weren't surprised. She's never been one to back down from controversy, especially when it comes to the church. Her statement raised an important question. Is it time for the church to evolve? Could T.D. Jakes stepping down be a sign of a greater shift in the way church leadership is handled? Or is it a sign that the same old systems are still in place, just under new leadership? The crazy part is, Leandria wasn't the only one with this perspective. A number of other gospel artists and church insiders have hinted at similar frustrations, and there are whispers about potential power struggles within the Potter's house itself. Some have even claimed that the transition was influenced by certain members of the church who may have seen the writing on the wall. T.D. Jakes' leadership style, while powerful, might be seen as outdated by some of the younger leaders coming up through the ranks. But that's not where the story ends. The plot thickens even further when we consider the two people T.D. Jakes has chosen as his successors. And let me tell you, their backgrounds and the way they're tied into this whole scenario may surprise you. As the news of T.D. Jakes stepping down spread, the big question on everyone's mind became, who could possibly take over a ministry as vast and influential as the Potter's house? After all, Jakes didn't just lead a congregation, he built an empire with thousands of members, a massive media presence, and a global ministry. Replacing him was never going to be an easy task, but T.D. Jakes has made his choice, and it's a decision that's already sparking debate. In his announcement, Jakes revealed that his successors would be none other than his son, Cora Jakes Coleman, and his close associate, Bishop Jonathan Miller. But who are they, and what makes them the right fit for such a monumental responsibility? Let's start with Cora Jakes Coleman, T.D. Jakes' daughter. She's been involved in the Potter's House for years, working as an executive pastor and serving as a role model for women in ministry. Cora has built her own reputation as a powerful preacher and leader, known for her impactful messages on healing and personal growth. But here's the interesting part. While she has a strong presence within the church, some wonder if she's truly ready to take on the leadership role of such a massive institution. Many believe Cora has the potential to be a groundbreaking leader. She's not just following in her father's footsteps, she's also charting her own path, focusing on issues like mental health, women's empowerment, and personal restoration. These are all topics that resonate with a new generation of churchgoers who are looking for more than just traditional preaching. Cora's approach has been fresh, relatable, and undeniably impactful. But the big question remains, can she navigate the challenges of leading the Potter's House on a global scale? The pressure of carrying on her father's legacy is immense, and some critics argue that Cora might face significant challenges in proving herself to the broader church community. Now let's talk about Bishop Jonathan Miller, a longtime friend and associate of T.D. Jakes. Miller is known for his dynamic preaching style and has a significant following of his own. He's served in various leadership roles at the Potter's House over the years and is considered by many to be a natural fit for leadership. But while Miller's credentials are solid, some have raised concerns about the dynamics of having two successors, one family and one outsider, taking over the reins of such a massive ministry. Could this lead to potential friction or competition between the two leaders? Or will they be able to find a way to work together and push the Potter's House to even greater heights? What makes this situation even more complicated is the ongoing speculation about T.D. Jakes' future role in the church. While he's stepping down as senior pastor, will he still have a significant influence on the church's direction? Will he continue to preach, travel, and make key decisions behind the scenes? Or is this truly the end of his direct involvement in day-to-day operations?
That man got clean out the way. He don't seen enough. He already know where the preaching industry is going. Them fans ain't loyal. Them people that show up to church every day got their own best interests at heart. They showing up to see him. It ain't like they gonna see Jesus. They don't care nothing about the Lord unless the Lord pull up in a Bentley or something like that. Then you got people in there that's really about that Bible, really about that church life, but they get overshadowed by all them heathens, them witches and them warlocks that be up in the pulpit, that be with the deacons, that be in the choir, all of the people that's supposed to be important be the main heathens in the church, and the regular church goers, people that's full of that faith and love for the Lord, they get cast to the side because they got ragamuffins on their feet and things. It's sad to see that money is the root of all evil. And since everybody trying to get this money, a lot of people out here evil too. Geno Jennings let it be known that T.D. Jakes is a false prophet, but then T.D. Jakes turned around and said a lot of these pastors out here is false prophets. So if it ain't coming directly from the Lord, then you can't take too much of it to heart anyway. I think that T.D. Jakes stepped down from that church because they about to slow up them wells of money that been coming through the church, especially for black folks. That man that got raided had Bentleys, G-Wagons, all different types of luxury items in his home, outside his home. His house was busting. And that's when the FBI came busting in there to lock his ass up for having all them riches. Plus, he was running the organization with a white gal. Y'all know they ain't like that. Now it's looking like it's a possibility they might do the same thing to T.D. Jakes.
And there's another angle to consider. Jakes' decision to step down may be a strategic move to secure the future of the Potter's House, ensuring that the ministry stays relevant and vibrant for generations to come. But how will the congregation respond to this new leadership structure? Will they embrace it, or will they struggle to accept change after so many years of following T.D. Jakes? The future of the Potter's House is undoubtedly at a crossroads. And as the dust begins to settle from Jakes' announcement, it's clear that the transition is just the beginning of a much larger story. But what's truly at stake here? Is this about the church's survival, or is it about the survival of a deeply entrenched leadership model in a rapidly changing world? As the news of T.D. Jakes stepping down continues to reverberate through the church world, one thing is becoming clear. The Potter's House is at a crossroads. The question on everyone's mind now is, what happens next? Can the church remain as influential as it was under Jakes' leadership, or is this a sign of a larger shift in the way megachurches operate? You see, the Potter's House has been a beacon of faith for millions. It's not just a place of worship, it's a community, a cultural institution. For years, T.D. Jakes has been the face of the church, leading with charisma, wisdom, and a vision that drew people in from all walks of life. His ability to connect with his congregation, from the pulpit to his powerful television presence, has been unparalleled. But now, as he hands over the reins, the pressure on Cora Jakes Coleman and Bishop Jonathan Miller is unimaginable. What's at stake here is not just the future of the Potter's House, it's the future of church leadership as a whole. As we move into an era where the church faces new challenges, from shifting cultural values to changing demographics, the question arises, is the traditional model of megachurch leadership still effective, or is it becoming outdated? The Potter's House is not the only church grappling with this shift. Across the country, more and more churches are seeing long-standing leaders step aside in favor of younger, more diverse successors. While some of these transitions have been seamless, others have led to division and conflict. The rise of younger, more socially conscious leaders has created a tension between traditional church models and the desire for a more progressive, inclusive approach. For the Potter's House, this transition could be a defining moment. Cora and Bishop Miller represent two different approaches to leadership. Cora brings a fresh, innovative perspective. She's an advocate for women in ministry, and her focus on mental health, healing, and empowerment speaks to a generation that craves authenticity and vulnerability. She's not just a pastor, she's a leader who understands the complex issues facing today's churchgoer. But can she maintain the powerful momentum that T.D. Jakes built over decades? On the other hand, Bishop Jonathan Miller represents the more traditional, established path. His years of service at the Potter's House have earned him respect and admiration, and he's seen as someone who understands the church's legacy. However, some wonder if this approach is enough to keep the Potter's House relevant in an age where churches are increasingly called to respond to social justice issues, global crises, and the changing needs of the next generation. And there's one more element to this: the congregation. The people who have poured their hearts into the Potter's House over the years are deeply invested in the direction the church will take. The question is, will they follow Cora Jakes Coleman and Bishop Jonathan Miller? Will they embrace change, or will they feel like they've lost something important in the process? In many ways, the true test of this transition lies in how the congregation responds. There's also the matter of the church's influence. T.D. Jakes didn't just lead a congregation. He built a brand, an empire, with global reach. His influence extended beyond the pulpit, touching the worlds of media, business, and entertainment. The question now is whether his successors have the same ability to bridge these worlds and maintain the Potter's House's strong presence on the global stage. With social media, streaming platforms, and a global audience, the opportunities for ministry are greater than ever. But can Cora and Bishop Miller tap into these opportunities as effectively as Jakes did? But let's pause for a moment, because the real question here is much bigger than just leadership transitions or church politics. This is about the future of faith communities, especially in an era where church attendance is declining and religious influence is waning. Will megachurches like the Potter's House continue to thrive, or is this a sign of a larger shift in the way we approach worship and community building? As T.D. Jakes steps down and passes the baton to Cora Jakes Coleman and Bishop Jonathan Miller, the congregation of the Potter's House is left with one pivotal question. Will they embrace the change, or will this be the beginning of a struggle to maintain unity and momentum? When a leader as monumental as T.D. Jakes steps away, it's not just the pastors or church staff who are affected, it's the entire congregation. For decades, Jakes has been the guiding light for thousands of people, drawing them in with his powerful messages, his charisma, and his ability to speak to the heart of human struggle. People didn't just attend the Potter's House, they became a part of something much larger than themselves, a community built on trust and a shared belief in the power of transformation. But now, with Jakes stepping aside, some longtime members are understandably feeling uncertain. The question arises, will they trust Cora and Bishop Miller to carry on the vision of the church, or will they feel like they've lost something irreplaceable? For some, T.D. Jakes wasn't just a pastor. He was a symbol of hope, a larger-than-life figure who helped them navigate life's toughest challenges. Can his successors fill those shoes, Or will there be a disconnect between the new leadership and the congregation? It's important to note that the transition to new leadership isn't just about the new leader's qualifications or vision. It's also about the relationship they form with the people they lead. Cora Jakes Coleman and Bishop Jonathan Miller are not just stepping into positions of power. They're inheriting the hopes, dreams, and even fears of thousands of congregants who have built their spiritual lives around T.D. Jakes' teachings. Cora, with her emphasis on mental health, healing, and personal empowerment, will likely connect with the church's younger demographic. Her messages speak to those who may have felt marginalized in the past or who are looking for a more modern, compassionate approach to faith. Her ability to address contemporary issues and provide guidance on personal growth will resonate with many members who are grappling with mental health struggles, relationship issues, and the challenges of living in a fast-paced, often overwhelming world. However, this focus on mental health and personal empowerment is not always embraced by all churchgoers. Some may prefer a more traditional approach to ministry, centered around preaching, worship, and the Bible's timeless truths. These members might struggle to connect with Cora's more progressive message, especially if they feel that the church is shifting away from the doctrines that originally drew them in. Then there's Bishop Jonathan Miller, who represents a more traditional approach to leadership. His years of service at the Potter's House have earned him respect among the congregation, and his steady presence is seen as a stabilizing factor during this period of transition. However, the question remains, will this traditional approach resonate with the next generation of churchgoers? Will his focus on doctrine and the continuity of the church's established ways be enough to keep the Potter's House thriving in an era when people are increasingly seeking authenticity and relevance from their spiritual leaders? As with any leadership transition, there will undoubtedly be some pushback. Some congregants will embrace the change with open arms, excited about the possibility of a new chapter for the Potter's House. Others, however, may feel resistant, unwilling to let go of the familiar, larger-than-life presence of T.D. Jakes. It's not uncommon for congregations to experience a period of instability and uncertainty following the departure of a beloved leader, and the Potter's House will likely go through its own season of adjustment as members decide whether to stay or leave. What's interesting, though, is that this leadership change could actually provide an opportunity for the church to grow in new and unexpected ways. The Potter's House has always been about inclusivity and transformation, and with the new leadership, it could attract an even more diverse and engaged congregation. But this will depend on how well Cora and Bishop Miller can manage the delicate balance between preserving the church's rich legacy and embracing the need for change. But here's where things get really intriguing. The church's reaction isn't just about the members themselves, it's also about the wider public's perception. As one of the most well-known megachurches in the world, the Potter's House has a global audience that follows its every move. How will the media, social media influencers, and critics react to this leadership change? Will they support the transition, or will they criticize it as a sign of the end of an era? As we reflect on T.D. Jakes' decision to step down and the subsequent leadership transition at the Potter's House, we have to ask, is this just a challenge for one church? Or is this part of a larger trend impacting megachurches across the country? The landscape of modern faith communities is evolving, and the Potter's House is not the only church grappling with the question of succession. In recent years, many megachurches have faced leadership transitions, some successful, others not so much. From controversial scandals to the rise of younger, more progressive leaders, the megachurch model that worked so well in the past is beginning to show signs of strain. Congregations are more diverse than ever, with a growing demand for church leaders who are not only spiritually grounded, but also socially conscious and willing to engage with pressing issues like racial justice, mental health, and inequality. This is a shift that is not easy for many to accept. The charismatic, larger-than-life leaders that built these churches into global empires are not easily replaced. But the reality is that the church of tomorrow may look very different from the church of yesterday. It may be led by younger, more diverse leaders who connect with a new generation of believers, who are seeking authenticity and relevance in their spiritual lives. But here's the thing. This transition at the Potter's House could be a test case for other megachurches in the years to come. Will churches like the Potter's House survive this shift? Or will they crumble under the pressure of maintaining relevance in an ever-changing world? As we've seen with T.D. Jakes' departure, the future of the church isn't just about the next generation of leaders. It's about how the church adapts to the changing needs of its congregation and the wider world. If Cora Jakes Coleman and Bishop Jonathan Miller can successfully navigate this period of transition, they might just show the world that the megachurch model is far from dead. But the journey ahead won't be easy. There will be bumps along the way, challenges to face, and difficult decisions to make. Will they be able to meet the needs of a new generation of believers while staying true to the church's legacy? Only time will tell. But one thing is certain: the Potter's House, with its millions of members and global influence, is on the precipice of a new chapter, and the world will be watching closely to see how it unfolds. As we wrap up today's video, one thing is clear: the leadership change at the Potter's House is just the beginning of a much larger conversation about the future of the church, the role of leadership, and the evolving needs of the congregation. What happens here will likely shape the way megachurches operate for years to come. The question is, how will the congregation respond? Will they embrace the new leadership, or will they feel like they've lost something irreplaceable? And what about the broader Christian community? How will other megachurches handle their own leadership transitions in the coming years? If you're as invested in this story as we are, make sure you like this video, subscribe to our channel for more in-depth discussions, and comment below with your thoughts on this leadership shift at the Potter's House. Do you think Cora and Bishop Miller are up for the challenge, or is the era of T.D. Jakes truly over?
I'm about to go ahead and end this video on a positive note because I know y'all be hearing a lot of negativity on YouTube. I want everybody listening to put your faith in the Lord. Don't put your faith in nobody or anything else. These pastors really need to come together and quit all this bickering. I know Geno Jennings want to see T.D. Jakes fall off so he could be the #1 pastor. I know he coming for that #1 spot, but these pastors will be able to keep all their riches if they just stuck together a little bit. Pray together, join congregations. You got churches beefing with other churches, ex-members of churches talking bad about their former churches. It's just a mess out here. These churches is like gangs. They banging on each other. They banging on them damn pulpits. It ain't nothing but a shame, man. You can't put your faith in none of these pastors for real. I know T.D. Jakes got his faith, and he did a whole lot more good than he ever did bad. But if they want to turn you into a Frankenstein, they can do that. They can make you the worst man that ever walked the face of the earth. And trust me, T.D. Jakes not that bad. If he was, he would have never even lasted this long. But I see he trying to protect himself by stepping down from that church, because the church ain't the way to go no more for a lot of people. The world is changing. It's going to have AI pastors sweating all over your keyboard. You might get electrocuted. You're going to have AI deacons, AI choirs that sound better than the Mississippi Mass Choir. It's coming, man. Y'all going to put y'all faith in a computer. But I'm trying to let y'all know, put your faith in the Lord. Let me know what y'all think about this in the comment section. I got so much love for y'all, man. Hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. And one more thing before I go, subscribe to my channel if that's what you want.
Subscribe to my channel if that's what you want. But if that's not what you like, then you must be a punk. Hold on now, here we go. Who is this girl? She got that junk in her trunk. Baby girl, back it up, poke out your rump. It's S.A.T.